Hey, how you doing? Let's do it to it. 1 second, let me get a sip and then we'll get on to it. Okay. Puzzle rush, puzzle rush. Let's see what we can do now. Let's see. Let's see. Check. Hang up. Check. Hang over. And then. There's Smother Mate. There's Mate. There's Check. Oh, whoa. Hello. Let me see here. So check D3. Yeah, I'm thinking potentially this wins that winner or a rook. So check, check, check. Or check that. I think it's this here, and then wins there. So knight takes. One takes. Takes there, and I win the bit. Okay, take here first, and then grab the bishop. Let's see here, there, there. Or if here, then we trap the queen. Take here, take, win the rook. Okay. Let me see here. If I take here, I push. Yep. Take here, push, and there's no way to stop queening. Let me see here, there, and we'd get mate. So here, takes, and that's mate. Check. Oh. Okay. Let's see, what did we, interesting. I was looking at this right here though, takes, but I see what that is, the queen can intercept there. So that's that right there. So I don't know how I kind of missed that. That must have been slip of the mind there, slip of the mind. Okay. Alright, let's do it to it. Ah, here it is. Ah, that wins a piece. Takes there. Oh, phew. I think it was mate with rook takes check there. It's okay. Takes here. I'll grab there. something just is wrong here. Oh, I got it. There we go. It's okay. We'll call it on that. And then get busy into our studies. Okay. Yeah, this actually mates. Forgot about that sacrifice. It's a kind of pattern. I gotta remember the patterns. But you know what? Just have a good time. Everything's gonna work out. Oh, I forgot. Drat. This is mate. I don't know why I didn't see this. Like for some reason, maybe it's because it's a retreating move. Gotta be on lookout for that. Retreating moves. Retreating attacking moves. There we go. That's what we'll call it. So check, and then we mate there because of here and here covers there. So I gotta be on lookout for. Let's try that one more time. So you check, you set it on there, you sacrifice, and then you win. Okay, let's do it to it. We'll do board editor and do a madness game. Endgame, of course. Yeah, I'm loving that. Let's see what the end game would bring us. Okay, dokie. Not too bad. There's a couple lines that we have to go down. It's going to be a little bit longer one, so you're going to have to hold on and get ready. Because this is going to be a little bit longer of an end game, but I got to say, you got to heat up the intensity. As I like to say, turn on the oven and get the heat going when you're cooking. So same thing with a position, you have to get things moving. The more you learn is how you improve, and they're going to turn up the intensity. And so you know what, the further we go on in the book, it's going to get more a little bit harder, so don't worry. But in the end, they'll have more lines, so yeah, loving it. So you got to always think of the positive things about it. There's a lot of work, but there's also a lot of fun, because when you get the patterns down, you're number one. Because you'll start winning. You'll start winning your games. You'll be like, wow, I didn't see that pattern before. Wow, I didn't see that pattern before. And it'll be really cool. So white, I just want to make sure I have everything. Perfect. So far, so good. Good. And then we will send it into Magnus's endgame here. Endgame with Magnus. Okay, dokie. And he's white this time, so that's cool. I don't think he's faced this guy before. I don't see anybody that he's faced. Nope. So What's the closest date? I'll just do this one here, and let's see if we can find. Here we go. This is a good one. This saves me a lot of time here, and for putting in the other names. Get rid of this. Get rid of Hikaru Nakamura's name there, and then put in I think. Okay. So Magnus played. White has a very small advantage as he has more pieces in play than Black's. So Rook AC1 to attack the bishop is important here. So B4. There's also a retreating move all the way back to F6. Rook D7 to take the 7th rank over. E to D8. And then B7 to control and getting ready to bring the other rook down the board. DB8. DB8. And so we take, and then takes, and then rook C6 to attack the bishop. King goes to G2 now. G4. H6. And then H4. And up the board the pawns go, and we're trying to get our pawns rolling. White can press. So B2, because we're not wanting to trade bishop F8, and knight D2. So now we have a wonderful outpost, exclam, by the way. So this is vital, a vital outpost. We can actually plunk in a knight here, here, or even bring it in for something like that. Oops, I have to enlarge the board a little bit so that we get more board. Knight may go to C6 or B5, like what we talked about. Boom, boom, that's the idea. Knight C5, so black has an outpost as well, and then bang, there's G4, exclam. This will, if we can get this in, will be wonderful. If we can get G5 in. I know what you're thinking. What are you talking about? Putting a pawn on the same color as bishop? Yeah, but when one pawn can hold back 3 pawns, hoorah. Oh yeah. You gain space on the king side, so this goes to not B5, or E5, E4. This is to take advantage of this pawn here. The rook does a little on E4 and will be tied to the defense. Instead, black should have waited and tried knight to A4, trying to go for the bishop. Bishop A1. Magnus is going to hold on. Bishop G7. Rook C4 to actually go after the knight, to kick the knight out. Knight C5 to go back. And knight B5 with the idea of coming in with a fork. You take here. Rook takes A1 and ED1. This is so that if that gets played, we just slide over the second rook, and all rooks are Operation Happiness. White has very little, or black could try, he could actually try this move here, I'm thinking. Let's see, a6 you may try that to stop b, then h3 to hold, and rook ac1, ac8 to kind of try to get all your works. Black should not be any worse than in the game, basically. So this is a worse move than in the game. So you don't really want to play these kind of dubious moves. And I forgot to put the dubious symbol in there. You don't want to play moves that don't do anything but cause just more problem. Now king f3 actually helps develop the king. And it also has a threat. Of course, you see what the threat is. If something like, we'll say rook here trying to attack the knight, we're just going to say that this rook could take, bishop could take, king takes. Now you're up a whole minor piece. So this is actually the threat. The threat is to get rid of the rook and then have the king take. That's the idea. AC8 here, this is a vital move, you got to do that to hold. Then H3 holds the pawn, and he's in a world of hurt at this point. F6 was played, which has really no point in this play. It's dubious. All it does is weaken the king side. One thing you don't want to do is weaken your king side. Potentially, maybe bishop. I'm gonna say bishop g7 maybe. They're saying knight a4, which that does go for the bishop. Then bishop a1, knight c5 because you're waiting, and then bishop c3. White has an advantage if okay, rook d8, because now you don't have to worry about this exchange because the bishop's involved. There's also h6 here, and there is bishop g7, like what we were just going to be talking about after this. Rook c4 to guard the knight, and h6. a3 to attack the knight, to remove and basically try to put some pressure there. Bishop f8 to guard the knight, because what would happen is if the bishop doesn't go back, bishop takes, pawn takes, and rook takes, therefore you're up a whole piece and you're good. They still could potentially win. Like if the king just moved, let's say king moved here, you could play takes here, there. You do have bishop takes, rook takes, rook takes. Well, I guess you don't lose a piece, do you? No, you don't. So I'm thinking it's still okay. And this holds for black, basically. Not as it's better than what was played in the game. This f6 move is not the best. It does, in black's mind, black wants to somehow get the king involved. But do you really want to bring the king out when there's that much, as I like to say, soldiers on the board? That's going to really cause a lot of fear to the king. I don't think I would want to do that. That would be a little too intimidating for me. I would kind of just hold back and say, hey, can we all, work this out? That's a joke. Because do you know what? This move doesn't really, it just opens up and frees up the knight to go to e6 at some point. Do you really want that? You only do king moves in front of your, you only move pawns in front of your king if you have one thing. The one thing is your king doesn't have any, white doesn't have any routes into the king. And we know for sure that white does have an in route to the king, so that wouldn't be a good idea. So this pins to the bishop, so King f7. Wow, it actually moved up there. Interesting. Rook c2. This is so that doubling up could be played here. Carlsen defends a2. This is a very intellectual move, as black has to guess what he will face next. If knight takes here, bishop takes, knight c6, rook a4, rook d8 check, king g8, rook takes a7, rook takes a7, knight takes a7, rook a8, knight b5, rook takes a2. White is a bit better, but black should be able to hold. It's going to be a long fight, but you never know. Should be able to hold, though. So if he didn't do that, there's knight c6 that could be played here. Rook a4 still. Bishop takes, and rook d7. And black is in the game still. But rook c7 does a couple things. It holds the a pawn, also allows for the win of material. So this is actually a really good one right here. It's a long distance move that you have to be a mature player to be able to see that far into the future. Like this was a vital move. He decided to keep on playing without creating any structural weaknesses. Like if black had tried h5, that could be played. Knight c6 to try to go after the pawn. H takes g check, h takes g, and then a6, bishop takes, and then rook d7, and we're trying to infiltrate in. So king f8, and then rook b7. White has the initiative, threatening the double rooks with ce4 and getting some stuff involved. So pretty powerful attack on e4, e6 there. Knight b8 is strong here. And your blacks, that's line B. Instead of a6, knight e4, 7 there. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and knight b3. Rook c7, d c1, d8. Here black has a weakness and will face a long lasting grind, but it would be hard to make any progress even for an endgame magician like Magnus. That's what the author says. So after uh-oh, did I move incorrectly? No, I did that right. Or did I? Uh-oh. Spaghetti. Well, that can't be right. Maybe I... Oh no, that's right. We have it right. No, we did it right. Good. Good, good, good. Instead of C takes, knight B5, B7, H4, E5, bishop B2, E6, and CD2. When white would have a small advantage here. Not too bad. Nope. We're gonna hammer through this. Bishop takes. With this exchange, white gets an easier access to A7 now. King takes, and then rook to C6. Exclam. Magnus makes the play very unpleasant for his opponent. Perhaps another reason he tried this because his opponent was short on time, making his ideas even harder to find. Like the knight could potentially go to C6, but it would be an easy move for the knight. The other knights just come in, and you can win a pawn. Rook would go to A8. Then knight to B5, knight E to A4, and then rook D6 to go for the B6 pawn. Rook takes, of course we would take. Rook takes. Rook takes F6 check. King G7, and then you could play D6. So you're probably wondering, why didn't Magnus just take this? There would be a pin here, and this would be pretty hard to handle, because if he tries, there's really no way to get out of this pin either. Trying to figure out a way to get out of the pin. I don't see anything, so I'm going to give bishop takes a double question mark blunder, and then B2 is an exclam. This is just a line I looked at. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you guys? How you all doing? Knight B4. Oh, what? How in the world? What in the world? I got it. Oh, b5 here. Gotcha. Yep, man, this is white. And rook c7. Rook e7. And then this is a beautiful move. Rook d8 exclam. You gotta love that. That move is power. This is just power. No, not yet. We're going to though. Not yet. I'm trying something new. I want to try to do the endgame first because that's how the computers kind of look at the games. They go endgame back. So I want to see if that actually helps with our play a little bit, and then what we'll do is once we get kind of used to the endgame first, we'll do the opening to the endgame again. Just switch it up a little bit. You don't want your mind to get too used to the things like that. It kind of keeps everything fresh. So now you take here, takes, and then king e6, and he played rook takes h, and I'm thinking that this it's hard to tell whether white wins. It's you gotta say that I think rook a4 here would be good, then h4. B5, and then rook g7. See, what we're trying to do is disintegrate the king side's pawns so that we are doing much better. So if h4, let's see, so h4, b5, but if rook takes a2, this is another line. Rook g7 again. Win is not certain. We're not certain if we're going to win this because he does have quick mobilization of his pawns. But we do have more pawns, so we could even distract the king. Yep, you're right. That's the game. Yeah, I have a Madness book that I'm going over. His endgame. It's actually really interesting how Magnus can spot these endgame patterns, and that's why we're going over them to kind of get the experience of how to get the endgame patterns properly learned. And there are certain sequences that you have to know, like you have to get your pieces mobilized and all that. It's incredible how he did that. So h4 to e7. Okay, this is to hold the pawn. It's trying to hold the queen side together, black, because that's black's only hope. And then the rooks just double up, and this gets an exclam mark because what white's doing is putting the pressure. Magnus is just keeping the pressure on his opponent. Also attacks f6, so if this pawn falls, there's no way to get the a pawn moving, because then b6 would fall. Oh wow, that's a lot of pressure. I wouldn't want to be under that. Knight c5, Oh boy, it's trying to trade off. They'll try to trade off the rooks, and actually when they do, I don't think that wins. I'm not sure if that even wins. Let's see, did they actually try? Let's see here, okay. They're saying that potentially a better move might be knight to b4 to fork the pawn and the rook. That's one of the ideas. Rook c3, and yeah. Yes, you did. You're right. And so b rook. Then you take there. A3. Knight b4. And then the rook grabs the pawn. And now we can take advantage of b6. And black probably will lose the pawn after that move. There's also rook f7 trying to double up. Let me make sure I have this right. Yep, got it. d4. Knight c5. Knight d6. This forks the two rooks. Knight e6. I mean, rook e6, not knight. Rook c8. Rook f e7 there. And rook a8 at this point. And then the knight would be coming into b5, and you'll win the pawn. There's one more line we can go down. Oops. Black could try knight b5 to try to hold everything together again. Then there's rook c3. The idea is to try to enter via a3 onto a7. Knight d7. Oh, knight e5. Interesting. Oh no, let me see. Oh, rook c7. A really strong move. That's a pin. So knight e5, check. King g3, so that the f pawn can get rolling up the board at f4. Rook takes h7, or c7, knight takes c7, and then rook e7, and knight d5. And the pawn's gonna have a problem. Yeah, there's the Alekhine gun, which actually involves it'd be a rook here, queen there, and rook there. So the rook would be here, two rooks, and then the queen would be here. That's the Alekhine gun. Black, and then in this line here, black suffers. Yeah, black will suffer the entire game in this position because he just has so many different weaknesses, and white's has better. So knight c7 was played here to attack the rook. The knight attacks the rook from c7. It generates lots of tactical threats. Being greedy now would ruin the position. So if Yeah, this would actually ruin the position. Like rook takes f6 is really bad. It's a blunder. 2, don't get greedy. Knight d7, and you're now in big time trouble. Because what happens is if you try to move your rook back here, the knight comes in and you lose a knight. You lose a rook. So you would have lost to attack due to a tactic, which would have been sad. So Magnus just holds everything together and it actually stops the knight from coming to e5. So, and also breaks up the rooks a little bit. So rook f8, and then h4 to get the pawn rolling. It's an interesting move. It deserves an interesting mark there, because what you're planning on doing here is you're wanting to move the king at the right moment and then potentially start f4. You got to be careful that you don't lose the e-pawn, but we still have enough attack, so I think we're good. I have a feeling we're still okay. There's an unpleasant move. Magnus does not release any of the pressure, but in this, there's an improvement in this position. A little simple rook move, a tiny simple rook move, would change the whole scenario here. Rook takes c5, b takes c5, and knight e6, and the scenario is actually totally changed at this point. Rook takes e6, rook takes e6, and rook c8. Rook e7, and king h6, rook takes a7, and then what you're going to have to do is somehow get your rook in here and hold on forever. c4, king e2. Well, maybe you can actually stop it with your king. c3, king d1, and then rook d8. And black still has some hope of play. I'm sure that king, this would be a tough one. Maybe king c2 here, rook check, takes, and then rook takes here. Ooh, I'm not sure about this anymore. Yikes, this would be a tough one. Tough one to play. There's f, oops, wrong. There we go. He's trying to win the rook. The rook will remain here for roughly 20 moves and will grow extremely passive, the f7 rook, or f7. Knight d5, rook d7. Exchanging rooks limit the number of tricks for both sides. So like e5, rook e5, potentially would be an interesting move, king e2, and f5 here, and h5, and kind of white's trying to disintegrate the king side via taking here. If pawn takes, then rook takes, and get some sort of tremendous attack. So this is a really tricky position. I agree with the author. Oops, not g5. I agree with the author. It's kind of a tricky position. I understand why black kind of decided to trade here. Knight takes. Taking with the rook does not lose a pawn, yet it is bad. So if the other line isn't as good either, because knight takes f6, f7, g5, knight d7, king e4, move the king closer, takes, rook takes, rook takes, pawn takes, king takes, and king d5, king e7, and then c6, and white wins the pawn endgame according to I don't know how to pronounce these two gentlemen's names, but I think one is Seko. I don't know. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. There's pretty long names. So, but the two people that analyzed it may be computers, a computer name. So I'm not sure. Let's see here. So king g3 at this point is really a strong idea. It's a sclam because what Magnus has that his opponent doesn't have is space on the king side. And the f file is ready to rock and roll. Knight c5. Knight b8 doesn't do much either. Oops. Knight b8 doesn't do much at all, because rook c8 attacks the knight, d7, h5, and now black's king side starts coming under heavy pressure. Knight c5, and then rook c6, and pressure, pressure, and more pressure. Black's position would be very passive and very hard to defend here. Yeah, I wouldn't want to defend it. f3. This stops the knight from coming into e4. It's an exclam move. It cements everything and allows no weaknesses in Magnus's camp at all. h6. Dubious move. I don't approve of it. I think it's too passive. Easily to criticize this move. It's worse and very passive. A waiting move like knight b5, b7, e4 to cement the knight, and then potentially f4 and king d8 would be played here to attack the rook. d6 to attack the knight. Knight b7, rook e6, knight d8, rook e8 to attack the knight again, knight c6, and then f4, d7, and then f5. And now white should have enough force of an attack to just blow the king side apart to smithereens. This is a pretty sad position for black to be put in. h6 doesn't help, neither either. Knight f and then g5 here, trying to break through, but I don't really think Magnus' opponent has much to play for anymore. e4, then there. I think Magnus is just plain old winning here. f7, rook f7, and then g5. You just basically disintegrate. They're saying that you can either go h5 or g5. Either one wins, because there's no way for black to hold the king side together anymore. The pawns are too active. It's almost over. When you get active like this, it's done almost. Knight h5, and on this outpost, the knight gets really close to black's king. You don't want a knight this close, especially when the javelin, that's little pole with a sharp thing. Can you imagine it coming at the king? I wouldn't want that to be a horse riding right at me with a thing like that. A lance. I'm sorry, it's called a lance. I forgot the name of it for a second. F4 exclam. We're getting close. We're getting so close to playing F5, and then lockdown will happen, and it'll be he'll have to go king here. So if we can get F5 in, king F7, rook takes, knight takes, and there's the position will have two pass pawns, and it'll be over. Just in Magnus's teenage years, Magnus acts quick, but prepares to push the f pawn. So king h3 is an exclam move as well. There's two exclam moves. D7 and rook d6. B5 and then F4. We're still fine here. And it's horrible for black. So F4 right now, G takes F is a pure mistake here. This is not the best move. We just take back with the pawn. Knight e4 would have is actually a much better move. It's by the way, an exclam move. It's the only move that holds any hope for black. F3, rook e7 here to hold the knight, and then rook e6 is an exclam move. This is actually a pretty nifty idea, because if rook takes and f5, and there you take, king takes, and then king takes, and you've won a piece. So I thought that was pretty nifty. Rook c6, there. 5, king h7 is forced, so we'll promote this to the main line. F takes, knight d6 to hold on to e8. Knight takes f6 check, king g6. H takes g, H takes g, and e4. Trying to, and white will probably win here. Yeah, it's a crazy move for sure. King h7. e4, it could be played here. King f3 again. Now we get to move the king closer. Rook e7. f5 check. And king f7. And king f4. b5. Rook e6. And this is just a crazy position. This is actually so bad for black. So it's winning. F5, G8, King F3 to cover E4, and Knight D7 to hold onto the pawn. By the way, if you're wondering why the rook didn't take here, knight to E4 is winning. So rook takes F6 is actually a double question mark, and then knight E4 is an exclam, and it wins. It wasn't in the book. I just wanted to show you why they didn't play that. King E4 here. Black simply invades. The black rook is miserably passive. White will have everything to play for, and the black knight is ineffective and basically not even part of the game anymore. There's not much that the knight can do, so everything's passive and losing galore there. King F8, trying to get black's king going. Rook C8 check, King E7, and then King D5. And King E, let's see, actually King D5, B5 here, trying to get the pawn rolling. Rook H8, and this is to win H6. Knight B6 check, and you could try Knight E5. I don't like Knight E5 because of G5 there, and everything is going to start falling apart. So for black, King C6. Now the king just gets closer. So now white's attacking on the king's side, the king's attacking on the queen's side. What more could you ask for? The principle of two weaknesses is right there for us to view in Magnus's game. Knight C4, Rook A8, Knight to E5 check, King C5. You're probably wondering why not take B5, right? Wait a second, did I miss something here? Hold on. Hold on, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. C6, C5, Knight D7. Alright, perfect. So they did miss something there. But you're probably wondering why at this point you didn't take. And this pawn would fall. So C5, Knight D7 check. And if the knight didn't check but played here, rook takes A check, King E8, rook takes F7, King takes F7, and then King takes B5, and the pawn is going to come up the board. King takes B5. Carlsen finally wins the pawn, and more are about to fall. It's all over. D6, more pawns are about to fall. There's another one. takes a5, rook f8, king b4, and then knight c5, and king c4 here. And Carlsen played this endgame very well, making it really hard for his opponent to defend. He gained space on the king side, then expanded pressure in his ordinary way, always by doubling his rooks on the 6. His knight jumped and confused the rook, which the knight did intentionally, and also attacked the king. Finally, his king invaded, and white won material in an instructive manner. Not destructive, but an instructive manner, which I know you guys know what that means, to learn from. So we got to remember that. Don't just settle, go for it all. Okay, let's do our French. We're almost done with the French book. We don't have very much left. Let me see. I'm excited. We're getting close to the end. Yep. We only have like 60 pages left. It's fun. I can't wait. Then we can start another book. That'd be total fun. Another chess book. Oh, you want to go back? Okay. You have some questions. Okay, let's go back. Okay. G4. Let me see. Let me see. G4. Hold on, let me see. Oh, right here. Gotcha. Why is G4 an exclam move? Well, it shuts down the king side. It shuts the king side down via if f5 were to be played here, then you can actually take and then win it with the knight. So like f5, you can actually take, and then you win pawn. If h5, you take, and then you can actually check with the rook. And the king can't come to f8 because of a discovery. If f8, king, rook check, king there. I guess maybe not king, maybe not rook f8, maybe rook here, king there, and then you can actually pick up the bishop, and then you have the bishop pair with an attack. So the rook would have to take. Rook checks. If the king comes there, if the king came here, you can also play potentially rook there, and now you're threatening to win material. And if rook doubles here, you just come there, and you have something similar to this. And now you're also, I think we have equal pawns, but we have a bishop. The bishop, and we've done our in-game Jeremy Silman. A bishop really does good when there's pawns on two sides of the board, and there's pawns on both sides of the board, the queen side and the king side. The bishop dominate knight in that scenario. Okay, so do you have any other questions before we move on to our French defense? Alrighty. Then to the French defense we roll. Let's do it to it. We have the advanced variation that we get to do another one. There we go. c4, e6, d4, d5, c5, let me see, e, c5, bishop e, d7 is, excuse me, here. This is the Wade way variation. Black intends to basically drop his bad bishop by playing bishop, queen b6, and then that, something like that, here and there. I have to change the colors because it's black. There we go. So knight f here, queen b6, knight a3, preparing to play b5. So if bishop e2, bishop e5, c4 is an interesting move. C takes, bishop takes, d takes, d5, e takes d, queen takes d, and then knight e7, queen takes c4, and then b4 check, takes, and then c takes. And the endgame is close to even white. Superior majority is offset by the slight weakening light squares. So a3, b5, c4. Again, an interesting continuation. We have the same scenario here, 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 there, 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 and knight e7 takes, queen a6, exclam here. I was looking at kind of queen to e6 here, but I'm thinking that queen takes and then pawn takes, and this just is too many weaknesses, so I'm not sure if it's worth, because knight come in here, there, you have to move your king up to actually guard, so it's kind of an interesting. Oh, wait a second. There's still more continuation for this line. Takes, c5 is another interesting move. d7, e3, e3, g6, knight c3, queen e2, on, was it knight, hold on, what am I, oh, knight c5, I mean, queen e2, knight d3 check, king f1, castle queenside. Black's developmental lead and aggressionally placed pieces offer full compensation for the pawn. C takes d, takes, knight e7. Knight c6 could be played, c2, and then b4, bishop b4, check. Oh, not bishop, I'm sorry, I had the wrong piece, knight b4. And then knight to e3. And then bishop b5. When black has acquired the aim of swapping off the light squares. This is actually from a game. Let's see if the game comes up. I believe, let me see. Grandmaster Simon Williams on his Killer French has this line, and it's from a game. I forgot whose game it. Oh, I know. It was Shirov's game. Shirov played this. He was playing as black. It was Shirov was black. I forgot the name of his opponent, but Shirov played this to trade off the bishops. Let's see if there's a Shirov game here. Oh no, there's no Shirov game. Interesting. Huh. That's peculiar. He's saying that to avoid this tempting move, bishop takes e, b takes, is just avoid it with, he says, by just warning. Black gives away his dark squared bishop. Black is unable to swap away the bishop on b5 since rook b1 and it pins the bishop. And black may have damaged white's queenside structure, but in return white gets an open b file and the ability to put a rook on b1 and cause pressure along the b file. I believe this one was, I said this this move here, Simon Williams talked about it. This is actually a Shirov game. This back here is from Grandmaster Shirov. He played this, and Simon Williams talked that the whole idea of Shirov, Simon Williams said that the whole idea of Shirov's idea was to get the bishop traded off the light square bishop. But there was actually a knight. The difference was Shirov got a knight to f5 in this line. So this is a line where the knight isn't on f5. So this is a very similar to Shirov's game. That's what I should state. Is that Shirov he had a knight on e5. So when the knight came back to when the knight came back to e3, the knight traded off, and then the pawn took. And then after the bishop trades, all this stuff happens. The trades happen, and the pawns get kind of muddled up, and black's bishop becomes very unpleasantly placed. This is a hyper Shirov move. Probably if Shirov could have gotten a position like this, he probably would have went down this line rather than probably plopping his knight on f5. Because then it would have given Shirov more play potentially to have gone g6 and then into f4 or something like that. I guess you could instead of f5 you could have went to f4. There's a lot of play in that position. I haven't went over Grandmaster Simon Williams' Killer French in a little bit. I'll have to do that. But I remember this bishop trade-off from Shirov. Yeah, T's good. For sure. So now, bishop e2. Knight b, c3, 6. Here we go. Wow. Yeah, this is, forgot which, there was a game that Simon Williams did. I forgot what it is, but this reminds me of one of it, Honest Killer French ones. He had another game that was very similar. I had something to do with this, but I have to watch that, get a refresher on that, because it's important to have your games understood. He's actually a Spanish grandmaster, I believe, because I've seen him play in some of the tournaments on Chess 24 in Europe. He was on in some of them. I believe that's the one you'll be looking for, and I'm not sure how his name is spelt, so I'm sorry about that. But that's how they pronounce it. It was he showed the entire game of Shirov's game. It was incredible how the moves that he did. He showed the entire game. Shirov won in brilliant style. If you could find the game, you would really appreciate going over it. It's really instructive how Shirov played. Rook c8, b3 here. I don't like b3. I think that's it. Like that. Nope, nope, nope. Bad, bad, bad. We don't want to do that one. No, don't weaken. Whatever side you're being attacked on, you don't want to weaken for sure. No, no, no. They should have probably. I know what the idea is to play fianchetto your bishop, but I'd probably have played like something like a rook b1, and then trying to get my bishop outside. I like knight c2. I think knight c2 has more play in the position, because what you're planning on doing is trying to shuffle the pieces over to the king side, potentially, and try to play more king side, and maybe even get b4, a4, and then a5 in, some sort of an attack like that, to continue with the idea. Then you can go g6, h4, which is somewhat of the idea, and then b4 can potentially be played too as well. Let me see. Bishop e3, e6, h5 to attack the queen, dislodge the queen a little bit. What am I missing here? There's something. Huh? Wait a second. Sage 4, bishop e. I have to. Want to make sure I didn't miss any queen moves or anything. This is peculiar. Huh. Because it shows knight c3, c2, bishop knight g6, exclam h4, bishop e there, h5, and knight h4. This is really odd. Knight takes h4, bishop takes h4, but doesn't the queen hang? I don't understand this. Why would you leave your queen on pre? I don't understand that. I'm not sure why. Maybe it has something to. Maybe they're missing a move here after h. Maybe queen b3. Maybe that's what they're considering, queen b3. But I think rook to I think the queen's, well, maybe not queen b3. Maybe queen d8. No, I don't like queen d8. Maybe queen c7. I like queen c7. Oh, I'm not sure how to spell. Yeah, I'm not sure how to spell Shirov. I could be pronouncing it wrong, but that's how Grandmaster Stedman Williams pronounces it. So yeah, kind of interesting idea. Be knight b4. Exclam set up here as well, because we're still trying to trade off the bishops. Let me see. Oh, on move 7. I think this is what you're talking about, right? b5. Queen takes b5. I'm just going to say queen takes b5. Bishop b2. And knight g6. This is the way to unravel the king side. g3 exclam for white. Gives the king a flight square. Prepares h5, cuts off the idea of knight to f4. So bishop e7, h5, or h4 I mean. And then castle kingside for black is an exclam move too, because this actually helps us. Don't be afraid of getting your knight chased back to h8. We talked about that. So h5, knight h8. You'll emerge. The knight will emerge victorious after f6, knight f7, and you'll be fine. One of not sure. Queen d2. Oh, that's sad if that's the case. No purpose. Black challenges white center domination, and black makes room for knight to f7. So f to e1. It's a dubious move. Believe it or not, this natural move weakens f2. This rook. Yeah. Which becomes a noticed in the moves ahead on f takes, or f takes e. Oops, actually, sorry, wrong one. Sorry if or e takes f6, g takes f6, exclam here. Don't hesitate to play such a move, which seizes control of e5 and prepares for future e5 advance. This outweighs the slight weakness of the black king, who is now defended by his knight, by the pawn. So the queen can't come in, and so everything's fine. If g4, g4, oh, he takes. What am I missing here? Let's see. Oh, h6. If h6, okay. h6 is an exclam move here. G takes h6, exclam. Okay, got it. E takes f, or takes f. This is so you can protect and block at the same time. Knight e5. Bishop e8. Knight g4. Rook g6. Knight takes. H6 is actually a dubious move here, surprisingly. You think, whoa, doesn't it win a piece? Not really, because he does have to jump back, and then everything unwinds, and black's the one with all the pieces pointing at the king now. Yeah, which is truly a messy position, typical of the French, though. You gotta love this. This is a messy, typical French position. Knight f7. The author says, "Hello, I'm back." That's what the knight is saying to the world on the chessboard. I may have been taking a break for a second, but now I'm back in the fray, and let's play. Bishop d1. White is forced into consolidating and protecting his knight on a3 so that the knight can come in. F takes e. Knight takes e. Knight takes e. And rook takes e, exclam. Hold on, I have to go back, but I wanted to do this. If pawn takes, this is a mistake here. because of knight to g5. This becomes a serious weakness. F2 does. And this is a exclam move because the move line goes rook e3, rook e4, queen e2, and then bishop c5. But you're probably wondering if knight takes, right? Bishop takes, queen comes in, and this is the winning move. Because the king comes there, you take the rook with check, and basically it's game, set, match. If rook takes here, this is a double question mark blunder. Because we just talked about this type of a move. Rook takes f2. Queen, if queen takes f2, then bishop f5. So this move would be an exclam move here. Because of the pin. Bishop d5, let me see here. Bishop d6. And rook e3. Now, combination alert, combination alert. It's all up to you guys now. Combination alert. Exclam, white to move, exclam. What does black, black to move, not white, sorry. Black to move. I got the wrong side. Black to move, exclam. I'll be right back. So take a second, look at the board, think what a good French defense move would be. A power attack. If you said e5, exclam, you were right. This is a French defense type of move. Black's position stands somewhat between domination. If black has the correct plan, which cannot be hidden now because we let it out, we have e5. Yep, you got it. e5, exclam. Pawn takes. If h6 could, let me see here. h6 could be played. Yeah, well done. e4. H takes g. Rook f7. Bishop e2. And rook takes g7 here. If rook e3, double question mark blunder, because this looks like a natural move, but rook takes, queen takes, and then bishop takes g3, exclam. We're just going to disintegrate the center. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. Okay, you're on the right track then. Perfect. We're just going to finish this one up really quick. And queen d6. White is very helpless to protect g6. If king f2, which tries to hold, then knight d3 check wins on the spot. And of course, if takes here, then you actually could play queen takes check. And king moves there. Or you could play rook takes here. And there's now not much. The queen would have to move to some, not there. She wouldn't want to move there. Maybe back here. Rook takes check. Our potential maybe even better is bring the queen in first. I'm thinking bringing the queen in first is better. Yeah, not rook takes d. Queen in first. And then the king has to move, and then the rook checks. The king comes back here. You take there, king takes, and then pawn takes, and you're winning. Okay, bishop c5. Rook f3. Bishop f5. Which is a mistake for black. It is not good. it's no good if you get things right, but the tide gets turned around at the wrong moment. So we have to make sure that, you know what, you take here, exclam, just get it over with. Bishop takes, rook f8, queen e2, and then I think f5 here now is an exclam move here. Now it's correctly timed. Knight c2, e6, queen d6, and we're threatening queen takes g3 there. Bishop e5, bishop takes e6, bishop f4, knight d3, oops, I don't understand, what am I, so f4, knight d3, bishop takes e6 check, bishop takes e6, b5, knight b5, knight takes h4, takes, and then f, and a winning position for black now. h6 here, exclam. Okay, rook, we gotta do a little quicker. I'm trying to get a little more speedier. Rook c1, exclam. I know these lines are kind of like, you know, the lines keep going and going, but these lines are important to know because you have to know the right move sequence to actually go down. Rook takes c5. Oh, here we go. Exclam here. I know that's why chess crunchers we hang in there and keep pushing forward. Rook takes, rook c3, and queen b6. We're gonna go back. Rook takes c8, rook takes c8, bishop g4, and rook to c7. Knight c4 here. Exclam. It would have been tempting to try to go for the bishop. I mean the rook, but I don't think that's winning. So d takes c4 is a mistake here, of course, a blunder. It's actually losing because we get to see the idea of check here, king f, and simply e6, and it's over for black at this point. It's game, set, match. So we're almost done here. We have a couple more moves, and we're almost completed. The lines, we have no more big lines, so that's cool. Bishop e4. Now white is unable to defend f2. So queen g5. And he's trying to mate here. Queen takes h6. Queen takes, g takes now. Rook f6. And then knight d3 to take advantage of the bishop that's on pre, and the rook is not doing. We sent that white's virtually fallen apart here because they're trying to hold on to everything and they can't. So bishop g4, rook ce8. Now the pawn's under fire. That's under fire. It's just like what? Rook to c1. Knight takes c1. Bishop takes c1. And rook takes oops. Delete. Rook takes e5. And rook takes f. King takes. Oh, sorry, not king. Bishop. So we don't want any possibilities. We want to hold on to our h pawn. All right, and it's over for white. White resigns here, being an exchange down. The idea, we have to go back really quick. It's a quick one-sentence summary. The idea about setting up here is for this is to play bishop b6, b5 trade off. This is the reason you play d7 is to play queen b6, b5, and bishop b5 trade off your bad bishop. And so we will get on to our puzzles now. Let's do it to it. We'll do 6 and then I gotta log 6 puzzles. Alrighty. There we go. Oops, almost forgot there. Sure, good, good. And there we go. Yep, you got it. Kaboom. we go. Up the board we go. Uh-oh. Hold on. Gotta maneuver the... put the rook right. There we go. Oops. Copy. Glad to see you're here. Okay. Yay. Takes, takes. That is true. Bye-bye. Be blessed. Wow, there's a lot of pawns on this one. Boatload of pawns for sure. Okay. 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 There's only one move, and I know you. Yep, you got it. And then knight g7. Yep, there it is. They're getting a little tricky, that's for sure. But there's nothing we can't handle with the Lord Jesus' help. So that's cool. Alrighty then. And we're a team chess cruncher. We could do it. Let me make sure I have this right now. Boom. Yep, we got it. Paste and chat. go. Okay. Two more. We'll see. Man, there's almost no pawns on this one, so only one for white. It's kind of a interesting puzzle for sure. Alright, let's see what we got here. It's a fast one to set up. This one should be a walk in the park right here. I find the ones with less pieces are easier to solve than the one with more, but some would say that it's the opposite because then you have more material to use for an attack. I think the ones with more material are more complex, but that's just me. But the ones with more material are fun because you get to do sacrifices and stuff like that. Yeah, this one's a cinch, yeah. Yeah, this is like, boom, there's your mate. One more. Congratulations, you're doing great. Keep up the good work. You're puzzle solving machines. And let's do this. This is the last one. Okay, let me put a star in our spot where we're going to pick up next. Erase this. There we go. I don't think that's, well, maybe it is. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right on that one. Yep, you're right. You're right. Well, let me see. See, check there. Yep, then he takes. Then you got mate there. Queen takes. And bishop f7 is mate. I was trying to see if this would work, the queen over here, but no. Because that does, the king can just take. Okay, congrats, nice job. Do you got any questions before we log off? Good job on finding that though. Good job. Okay. Wanted to thank you for all logging on. Congrats on hanging in there. Sometimes those lines get really long, and unless you know where to follow, sometimes you can get lost. And I know that sometimes lines are long and they seem boring, but trust me, when you're sitting down over the board and you're playing, those lines do come in handy. I've actually played a couple of those and won a couple over the board games, so it is applicable. So take to heart, and you're always welcome to type in on leechess.org that business law and go to the studies and go over the studies, and if you like them you can always give them a heart. And you know what, just enjoy what the work we put in and to improve. That's what Chess Cruncher TV is about. But in the end, it comes down to your thought process and what you think about, what you do, spend your time doing, and all that. If you spend your time in certain areas, like in chess, if you're really into chess and you want to pursue chess, you spend a lot of time there, study properly, get the patterns down, you're going to win. If you're into like school and you have stuff you got to do at school and you spend time there, your school will improve as well. So just like what the Lord said, spend time with your information, and also be willing to listen and learn from others, because you know what, a lot of the people that like your parents and the adults that have gone through stuff and they want to give you some information, it's always vital to listen to them because one of the kingdom of Israel was divided over one king that wouldn't listen to his advisors. He rather than listen to his advisors and say, and been calm and wise to the people, he said that he was going to be even worse than his father was and all this stuff to the people. And then the people of Israel divided into Israel and Jerusalem, or Judah and Israel. And that is, so what we have to be careful of is our words. I guess what that teaches us is that words are very important. They can move a person to passion in an area or to anger. So that's why we have to always remember what James said. James said you need to be slow to speak, slow to wrath, and quick to hear, because that's a vital thing to do. And if we live by that, you'll find that your relations with a lot of your friends and stuff will improve. It's just natural because you're more willing to learn, and then you get to show them, and then they'll be like, there's something different. You're more patient, you're more calm, you're more willing to hear, and you're also discerning. So, but we have to remember that one more thing. I like the Yasser Seirawan statement of every long journey begins with one small step. So never forget, every step's important on a journey. But in the end, it comes down to the chest cruncher motto of hanging up your coats, hanging up your hats, sitting down and studying when most won't. A chest cruncher does, and that makes all the difference. Team chest cruncher does. So that's our motto for being victorious, is to spend time with the information. As Wesley So says to the Lord Jesus, is I say God bless, and I'll see you next time on Chest Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, and Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow. And we'll keep pushing forward and having fun, honoring the Lord with the talents that we have and the gifts, and helping the chess community. But remember, what did Hannibal Smith say? He said a very important thing is forcing moves in chess. So if you force your opponent down the moves you want, there can't but be two results: a draw or a win, a win or a draw. But if you lose, you know what? Great thing to take back, learn, improve, and you'll come back even stronger. So don't fear, just improve and have fun. Okay, hoorah, be blessed, 2 thumbs up, great job for hanging in there. Again, thank you for staying on and listening and improving chess and the Chess Cruncher community. And you know what? Just keep pushing forward, honoring the Lord Jesus, and having fun. So I'll see you tomorrow. Be blessed. Bye bye.